Hey everyone, and welcome back to Don't Open That Door. I'm Justin, and wow, can't believe I finally knocked up my girlfriend.
Wow.
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 Wow. I'm Nico, and I just messed with Dude's house. Dude's house was fly as hell. Like, it was a nice fucking house.
Yeah, that was my downfall.
Yep. Well, I'm Dan, and I'm just trying to go trick-or-treating.
And we are here today to discuss Anything for Jackson. So this was directed by Justin G. Dyck, and it stars Constantina Mantelos as Shannon, Julian Richings as Henry, Sheila McCarthy as Audrey, and Josh Krutas as Ian. Quick trigger warning for the audience out there. This movie does deal with themes of self-harm, suicide. There's a scene where someone, kind of shoots himself. So if that's, something you need to look out for, we're putting it out there in advance. So we open with Henry and Audrey, a lovely elderly couple, and they start the movie by knocking out and kidnapping a pregnant woman. Wow. After the woman, whose name is Shannon, wakes up, she finds Audrey in front of her reading from a piece of paper. Audrey basically tells her that, she's not going to be hurt, and they've planned for every eventuality, so no one's going to find her. You see, their grandson Jackson is dead, and they plan to put his spirit into her unborn baby. So, a rather interesting premise to lead with, but Nico, where does this go?
So they leave Shannon in this soundproof room to prevent anyone outside from being able to hear, and Henry and Audrey begin their plan. And at this point, Henry heads to the local clinic where he works as a doctor. Audrey then tricks Shannon into revealing the password to her phone, and she poses as Audrey, placing fake posts on social media and dating apps so as to distort the amount of time that she's been missing. It's then revealed to the audience that Henry was actually Shannon's doctor. And when his secretary questions why Shannon's missed her appointment, Henry tells her that, she emailed/called him. The secretary presses him further, and he tells her that he saw her pass by his house, and she verbally confirmed with him.
All right, so maybe a little more than he wanted to provide to the secretary there, but Dan, what happens after?
Well, later on, Henry and Audrey attend a meeting of the local chapter of the Satanists. They're greeted by Ian, who informs them that he couldn't find the book they were looking for, which the couple actually already are in possession of. We also see a scene where Audrey brings a raven back to life using her knowledge of satanic/evil magic and the evil ancient book that they have.
Mm-hmm.
Henry and Audrey then begin a ritual that is supposed to put Jackson's soul into Shannon's unborn child. They make it partway through before they're interrupted by a terrifying demon. Deterred, the couple cease the ritual and go to sleep.
I see.
They took your strategy from Night of the Demons, Dan.
Oh yeah,
They just
fucking
took
go to
it.
sleep, bro. Just go to sleep.
I mean, Nico, there were no consequences for stopping that ritual halfway through, though, right?
There were so many consequences, and it was just a huge, huge mistake. So, due to this ritual fuck up, demons and spirits begin to haunt everybody in the house, and the local snowblower kills himself on the driveway in what a scene. To make matters worse, a detective has begun to investigate Shannon's disappearance, and after discovering what Henry and Audrey have done, she kills herself under the demonic influence of the house. At this point, seemingly cornered, Henry and Audrey turn to Ian for help.
And how does that go for him, Dan?
Not very well.
This movie's fucking nuts, y'all.
Yeah. Ian comes through and immediately points out that the reason demons and spirits are haunting the house is due to the incomplete ritual. In exchange for an ancient spell book and about 10 grand, he promises to complete the ritual. Audrey asks if Jackson is inside of Shannon's baby, and he says no, but if the ritual goes off, then they should be able to make it work. Well, unfortunately, the ritual starts to go awry. Ian kills Audrey, as any mother will serve as a sacrifice for the ritual, not specifically Shannon, and Henry also meets his untimely demise. Shannon escapes and drives away, while the demon drags Ian away. To compound all of this, A demon does actually emerge from the ritual and walks away. At an intersection, as she runs away, the demon runs across Shannon, but it simply watches her and walks away. The movie ends with Shannon wondering what type of child she is pregnant with.
Oh, buddy. Best believe we'll talk about that. But I want to lead with the visuals. Nico, how does this one look?
Like I said in the beginning, I fuck heavy with dude's house. It's a pretty fucking house.
It is. They got an elevator in there.
Yeah.
They got a fucking elevator in there. They got the fucking dumbwaiter. They got the actual literal fucking dumbwaiter from Mansions or whatever. But it was a very pretty movie. The colors in particular was something that I really, really liked. We've got these really just picturesque sort of views of the outside in this winter time that this story's taking place in, along with just some really creative placement of different little just pieces of the set design that gave this movie a lot more depth than I think I was expecting. So I was a fan. And also just some of the scaries are done real well.
For sure. I think this movie, it's an indie movie, and I think it makes spectacular use of the budget and everything else they're working with. Because, I mean, for one, Nico, I agree with what you said about the visuals so far, but I also wanted to include that, to me, the story is about normal people doing abnormal things. And I think the visuals also portray that. Like, taking away the kind of demonic stuff for a second, like if you just look at some of the visuals, it looks like a normal place. This wasn't one of those horror movies that felt the need to like wash out colors or make everything super dark. Yes, there are dark scenes, but there's also bright scenes. There's also scenes that look kind of pretty. So I really dug that. I also like snow. Snow was cool to me. So
It's cool to everyone, really.
ho. And speaking of cool people, Dan, visuals, what's it like?
I dig the visuals. I feel like this movie has a lot of character to it. And to me, like the monsters that we see, the creatures, if you will, whatever, weren't like terrifying. It wasn't like super dark and terrifying, but they were like creepy, but with character. I don't quite know how else to describe it. Like they didn't look to me like a standard, we're trying to scare the shit out of you horror kind of creatures. And like there's a part where one of the spirits is this lady who is like flossing out her teeth, and it's really like cringy, and man, it's kind of gross. And
I don't know if the mic picked up, but I actually like twisted my neck out of discomfort. You can like hear my neck cracking, I'm pretty sure.
yeah, it's uncomfortable, but it's also like she didn't look super zombie-like or whatever. Like her mouth, her teeth were like a little bit larger than normal.
Definitely inflamed.
Yeah, and her gums, probably because of the flossing, were like super inflamed or whatever. And I don't want to say it looked goofy because that's not true at all, but it didn't look like, oh, hey, we're trying to have like skin flapping everywhere and just scare the fuck out of you. Like it looked a little different, and I appreciated that. I actually like the visuals a lot.
All right. Well, Dan, talk to me real quick about the audio as well. How'd you feel about that?
The audio I thought was fine. I like the music. I like sort of the whimsical attitude to some of the music, as well as kind of the visuals as well, especially near the beginning part of the movie when Audrey and what's his name are like a little bit more whimsical in nature. You know, it's
yeah.
they start out as just like an elderly couple who just happens to be part of a satanic cult. And I think the visuals and the audio kind of go along with that. And then even like the sound effects of a lot of these creatures and things are just really well done.
I certainly liked it as well. There's one particular scene where, to me, the sound, and when I watch this movie, I watch it with headphones on, and you already know about headphones. Like they just make everything that much more. So there's a scene where there's like a little kind of ghost saying like trick or treat, and then up the elevator comes this gigantic ghost and it's like trick or treat, and I was like, oh, like that scared the brakes off me. And then one or two other moments where I thought it was really good. it was funny as like a quick note for like any metalheads out there. So Ian at one point's like in his mom's basement, because of course he is, and he's listening to like brutal metal track X. And I don't know what it was, but in my head, I was like, yo, if the movie had come out like maybe a year or two later, I feel like he would have been listening to like some Lorna Shore or some shit like that, bro. Like, for sure. But Nico, what's your take on the audio?
My favorite thing about the audio is how it relates to the ghost specifically, and one particular character of those ghosts. There's this one ghost that is just the entire time it's on screen, it is actively suffocating, and the noises that come out of that thing's mouth, bag, body situation are just so incredibly uncomfortable and scary that it just elevates every scene that has that character. There is a scene later on in the movie where Shannon is confronted with this ghost, and it's just the two of them, and it was one of the scarier scenes, I think, for sure.
And we will talk about those more. Don't get me wrong. We're definitely not done talking about that yet. But as is tradition here on the pod, I want to talk about the ending first. So as Dan tells it, you know, a demon does actually kind of come out of this ritual. We see this kind of, you know, horned thing basically come out, kind of like a humanoid shape. And I mean, level with me here, guys. Are we almost confirmed here that Shannon is about to give birth to some kind of demon baby or something like that?
It sure fucking looks like it. Oh.
Okay.
I really don't know. I mean, did they actually like 100% complete the ritual?
I'm thinking no.
Okay. So like, I feel like I don't know if it's going to be her kid, but Jackson's spirit, or some like weird fucked up demon thing. Like I don't know.
So as I understood it, there are a couple things the movie kind of zooms in on a little bit. So first is when Ian and Henry are outside and they're like laying down some stuff for the ritual outside, and they all have to be like a certain amount of spaces apart. Henry messes up and he accidentally like moves one of them out of position.
I don't think it's accidental.
Oh, okay. Purposeful then.
Yeah.
Then they do it like that, and then it's out of position, and then
they also fuck with the salt line.
Yeah, they had the salt line that they purposely show got moved out of the way, so a demon can come in and grab Ian and take him out. And he was the one that was orchestrating the whole thing, so I don't think he finished. And yeah, I don't think the ritual was finished at all, and I think because it didn't get finished, something else came through. And I don't think Jackson's inside of her, because at the very end, she looks up and she sees Jackson in the window.
Oh
shit. I was like, if Jackson's in the window, then he's not in you.
Interesting. I didn't really catch that.
So that's why I was like, yo, and the fact, like, I love that scene because the demon just kind of like walks by, just looks at her, and then keeps on keeping on.
Fucking menacing too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she like looks down, and the movie ends. It's like, oh no. But, you know, let's talk real quick about the duo here. I do want to talk about them more, but just the end, their deaths. Henry and Audrey, they deserve that.
Man, I gotta say, I didn't see Audrey dying coming. In particular, with Ian being the one to kill her off like that. But once he said it, it made perfect sense to me. But I just thought that was not really a twist, but just like a well done surprise. And in regards to Henry, I think he absolutely deserved it. This man he didn't even want to do it for the kid. He just wanted to do it for his wife. Like, no, fuck that.
But Audrey deserved it too, though, right?
Oh, no, they both 100%
Okay.
deserved it. But, like, I'm just surprised that is the way that Audrey went out, as opposed to, like, a demon ripping open her guts or something.
I got you. And we'll talk a little bit more about Henry's motivations in just a bit here. But, Dan, are you on board with they both deserved it?
I agree with that. I think anytime you can't expect to fuck around with devilry
Oh no.
and not
You're right.
have anything like go bad. Like there's always a price to pay, you know?
Official. I stamped it because that's the DOtD stance.
Yep.
We don't fuck around with the devilry here on the podcast. But
We do not.
and Nico, I'm going to pose this question to you as I often do, sir. Audrey and Henry, villains or antagonists? Or both?
Yeah. I want to say yes, but the writing in this movie is so good that I feel sympathetic towards them despite my own interests. Like,
Yeah.
there's a lot of cognitive dissonance there, but in a good way. And that's something that horror movies in particular, I think, pull off better than other genres just because the sort of positions that you're being pulled between are often so fucking far apart. But I don't know, man. It's hard for me to call them villains, but they're definitely antagonists.
All right. Respect. I kind of feel like, and this is one thing that you only really realize when, you know, you like write it down or something like that. As I was writing down the actions of those two, I'm like, these are bad actions. They knocked out and kidnapped a pregnant woman in the first like 5 minutes of the show. Like,
okay, yeah, when you fucking put it like that.
These are bad people, but
big old fucking asterisk to my rant there earlier.
But no, because I think what happened to you was totally the intention of the writing.
Right.
Which is, you see this old couple and they're just lovely people, but unfortunately, they also really want to get their grandson back. And
oh God, does this mean I understand you now?
Well, you've always understood me.
No, shut the hell up.
I mean, I think it all comes down to perspective. I mean, we see this movie is from the perspective of the antagonists.
Yeah.
And so we are privy to their thoughts and we understand the why, you know, why they're doing all this and everything. We see them mess up. We see them, you know, do good things, or I don't want to say good things, but do things correctly as they are trying to do anyways. If we were to see this movie from Shannon's perspective, I think it would be a very different story. And I think we would all agree that they're villains as opposed to antagonists, maybe villains, you know. So I think it mostly comes down to perspective.
Agreed. I do, to Nico's earlier point, feel somewhat sympathetic for Henry, only because he does this. Again, it's a horrible thing what he did, but he does this because he doesn't want to lose his wife. Because she talks about how her daughter lost her son and she never understood that pain until she lost her daughter. And then, you know, she clearly wanted, like, she felt very bad about it and like probably wanted to harm herself too until this popped up. And that's why Henry's so into it. And that's why he wants to do it, because he literally says, you know, I did it for her, basically. So again, not saying that like I would ever turn to the forces of darkness for the woman I love, but I'm saying like I can, on some macro level, understand why he would do those things, even if I don't necessarily agree with what he did. But I want to throw real quick in there Ian. So Ian browses Reddit, from what I understand, and he lives in his mom's basement and he listens to a lot of really brutal metal, and he's super into, you know, the whole kind of like little chapter of the Satanic Church they've got going on, which, by the way, is just a bunch of people who wear like robes like once a week or something like that. And they go to the local community center. They've got a room there. They got treats for after the meeting, and they all just put on their robes, say Hail Satan a bunch of times and leave. Like, it's pretty funny actually, because it's one of those things where it's like, it was very harmless, but Ian was definitely into it. This man's out here reading like ancient languages and doing all this other stuff, and he doesn't really hesitate to kill Audrey. Like, he doesn't even really bat an eye at all the death that's happened. You know, like the detective that's dead in the house, he doesn't see her, but he sees like the bloodstains, and he's like, whose are those? And they're like, oh, it's someone else's. And he's like, all right. And I was like, yo, he does kill his mother. Off screen, they say that he killed his mom. Like, the leader of the Satanic Church, their local chapter, is like, he flipped. And she's like, I don't even believe in this shit, but he did. Do you think he was possessed at all? Or do you think that was just Ian? Because he's introduced as this kind of like quiet character, doesn't seem to be very in control. And by the end of it, he's out here stabbing people. Do you think the house maybe, or the demonic presence had an impact on him, or is that just him in his element?
Yeah, it's just him. I mean, just because you're quiet doesn't mean you can't stab people.
Says the quiet one.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
I'm just saying that.
Oh, what the fuck, Dane? You just stabbed me, bro.
My bad. I'm just saying that those two are not opposites of each other. They don't,
True.
So.
Very true. Now, that's a scary thought, but I want to know, first off, is this a scary movie? I should say that. Is this a scary movie? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes.
Personally, not really.
Oh.
I think that there are parts that are kind of scary. Like Nico had mentioned the creature thing, spirit ghost thing that's like always being suffocated. I think that part kind of got me. But the rest of it I wasn't really scared by. Some of it, like the flossing lady, I was definitely like made me uncomfortable. But I wouldn't say a lot of it I wasn't actually like scared of from. And I think that's largely because of the sort of whimsical characterizations of our two antagonists.
I see. Now, you've said that, but what scene do you think scared you the most? Was it that one scene with Shannon? And by the way, I think one thing that I was going to mention about that same demon, he contorts his body a lot.
Yeah.
And he just walks in like a really creepy way, like a real freaky way.
He's a real
That's what got to
Valdo-looking
me.
motherfucker.
I literally,
Kinda,
when he stood up, I was like, it's Valdo. But it just, oh man, that scene really, really, really got to me. And it's kind of one of those things where, I don't know, like it just, oh God, that creeped me the fuck out. So I'm going to say that's the scene that scared me the most because it fucking was. And to kind of paint it, you've got Shannon who's tied to this bed and this demon just crawls out from under like a cabinet or something like that, or a shelf. And it contorts itself and like crawls backwards, reverse over on top of her. And it begins to like bite her pregnant stomach. And it was kind of like a real like fucked up, like when you're like tickling someone or something like that. And like you might like, like blow on their stomach or something like that. No one's ever done that. All right, I'm just weird, I guess. But like, it works sometimes. Like 90% of the time, it works 30% of the time. So, I mean,
wait, it works?
Okay.
What are you doing besides blowing on stomach? What are you doing? Like, I hope that works.
30% of the time.
30% of the time.
90% of the time.
Move back to the demon, bro. You lost. Move back to the demon.
What?
So that scene scared me the most in the movie. Does anyone have a different scene, or we're just in agreement that is the scene?
That was it for me.
For me, it was that and the flossing scene.
Talk me through it from the start.
Yeah, so I have this one particular intrusive thought that happens whenever I am flossing my teeth, which is not as much as I should be because I'm an adult and just God, who has the time, I guess. But whenever I'm flossing, this little thought comes up and is like, what if you just kept going? What if you just kept going and didn't stop and like just cut off your fucking teeth that way? Arrgh! I hate it so much. Oh, just thinking about it. Literally every time we've mentioned it on this fucking Discord call, I have just contorted myself and it's been just, no, I hate it.
Whoa.
But it was,
We're not on Discord.
It was really well done.
We're on Discord.
Discord, I'm sorry.
Discord
getting those, I don't know, man. Fuck that scene.
Well, I think another thing that really adds to the scary nature of it is because this happens right after the couple attempt the ritual, and Henry kind of sleeps in a little bit. So he sees, this person flossing their teeth, and he assumes that it's his wife, when all of a sudden she calls him and she's like, I'm outside with the groceries. Flashback to my high school years where I'd be like knocked out. Then all of a sudden, like my mom calls me, get out here and help me with the groceries. Like,
yeah, right.
Yeah, totally. But it turns out to be like this, spirit demon thing. And it's like super flossing its teeth. I don't know. Like it definitely was some very good body horror there. I quite enjoyed that. And speaking of genre here, I want to talk about what genre this movie is first and foremost. What do you guys think? You're thinking thriller, horror, possession, let's throw out some subgenres here.
I mean, I think it's horror.
Right, but I'm saying
Oh,
sorry.
yeah, I know it's horror.
What type of horror, I should say.
Oh, I don't know. Is this cult horror?
There's a shout,
Maybe,
I guess.
Maybe, yeah. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I guess I could call it that. That does sort of fit cleanly between the thriller and possession all in one. All right, yeah, good. You nailed it in one, Dan. Wow.
Oh, thanks. I'm the cool one and the quiet one.
Yeah.
Cool and quiet, dance secretly, an anime protagonist. But
And he nails it in one.
in one.
Every time.
I just want to know, what kind of tropes does this story kind of subvert? Because typically in a possession story, you know, you have the main characters trying to stop the possession, but in this one, you actually have the main characters kind of trying to initiate a possession because they're trying to take a spirit and put it into an unborn child. That 9 times out of 10, possession movies are trying to do the opposite, but
Yeah,
also
true.
in cult movies. And I do agree with you more and more, Dan, that this is a cult movie because this is kind of like a look into why people would join a cult. Like, what would they hope to get out of it?
Mm-hmm.
And this is a couple that just, they meddled with forces beyond their control. And that is kind of the ultimate end. And I guess, is the message of this movie just, you know what I'm saying? Like, don't fuck with the ghosts?
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess there's maybe 2 messages. One is that, but 2, I like how the movie shows regular people doing horrific things. And I guess I like how the movie shows the human side of all of it too. Because
Right.
even like the satanic cult, Satanists aren't evil. Like they're not trying to summon devils and they're not devil worshippers. They just don't believe in like Jesus and a lot of other like as the savior and all that kind of shit. That might be a little bit
I
wrong, but,
believe
like
the biggest holiday in Satanism is your birthday, correct?
Yep.
yeah. So like they're not inherently evil. And obviously the movie doesn't really go like in depth on this message or anything, but it kind of just shows that, these are just regular people and they kind of make light of it a little bit and present it in a funny way. But like, yeah, they're just regular people. But okay, yeah, also this elderly couple, they're just regular people too. And they're just doing evil things. And I think that sort of an underlying sort of hidden message is just regular people do bad shit. And
Yeah.
That is fair. That is definitely fair. Now, one thing, and I want to I want to send this your way, Nico, real quick. What is it, or shall I say, do you think this movie would have been as good without the message of loss? Because that's basically where the old couple comes from. So do you think if there wasn't the whole backstory about, like losing a grandson and a daughter, would it have made the movie less good in your opinion? Or do you think that was kind of like a necessary pin to hold the story together?
I think it would have made the story different and probably worse. Like I mentioned earlier, one of my favorite things about this movie is the writing. And I think just the relationships that the characters have and how they warp over time and in between each other. It's just, I think, so well done. So I think if you changed it, it would honestly be to the movie's detriment. Because there's other cult movies you could watch, but this has got that good Southern charm, I guess.
That Southern Canadian charm.
Yeah, Southern Canadian charm.
So I guess it's time for the what would you do? And oh boy. So we got to change a couple things around here. But let's say first off, who's the one to get kidnapped by a cult? Which of the 3 of us is getting kidnapped?
probably Nico.
It is
maybe?
Nico, isn't it?
Damn it, yeah.
So Nico, let's say you get kidnapped by a cult, right? So this is nothing involving like any unborn children or anything like that. This one is literally just for like, they just want to sacrifice you. And I want to know.
No reason or anything, just vibing.
Well, yeah, it's because, they were like, oh, wait, we can awaken Literatus, the book demon. And all we have to do is sacrifice one person who's read a book Nico, it must be you.
Neither of us have read books.
Ever.
So they tie you up or whatever like that. Unless they tie you to the bed the same way that Shannon was tied to a bed, how would you get out? Or if they were treating you the same way, just as nice, what would be your plan to get out? Like, what would you do?
I'm a charming motherfucker.
Okay.
I would win them over, and
Oh.
I would actually pull a trick from your bag, Justin. I would just gaslight the fuck out of them.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
Well, way to throw that one at me, huh?
Yeah. How's it feel?
The worst I've done this episode is blow on someone's stomach, all right? So I don't know where we're going.
So you're trying to do something bad with that? You're trying to do something bad with blowing on the stomach. I'm coming back to this. I'm not done. You think we're done?
All right. I'm going to encourage you to just experiment on your own, and you'll determine what I'm talking about. All right? Just mouth fully cupped on stomach and blow. And you will find the truth.
Is it grab a bite, but with teeth?
I fucking hope not.
But it's not with teeth in this one. It's suction.
Oh. Well, wait, suction.
Yeah.
That's the opposite of blowing.
Right, because
That
you got to
is it.
suck to blow.
You got
Yeah.
me there.
Yeah.
You are
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay, fuck.
So while Nico is, you said you were going to blow on their stomachs?
No, sure. Yeah, I was going to blow on their fucking stomachs, Justin. That's what I was going to do.
Meanwhile, Dan, let's say Nico was kidnapped by a cult. How long would it take us to notice that Nico's been kidnapped by a cult?
And not just taking a wicked fucking long nap.
What day of the week is it?
See, that's a good question. Let's say it's Thursday.
I think it would take about 3 or 4 days. Because if I don't get the play-by-plays of him watching those movies that we're watching,
True.
Yeah.
then I'm going to know something's wrong. But I feel like a Thursday, it'd be a couple days before I'd be like, oh, wait, I haven't heard anything about this yet.
I feel like, see, the thing is this, normally when Nico goes onto these Odin sleeps, which would be the only reason he wouldn't respond,
Mm-hmm.
but normally when Nico goes into an Odin sleep, when he's done, he'll just like let me know. It's like a guilt text, but it's also like not a guilt text, kind of like a brag text at the same time. Nico would be like, man, I just napped for like 5 hours. And then I'd
It
be like,
happens, man.
it's not a nap anymore, my guy. Yeah, so I think if 2 days passed and I didn't get one of those, because normally I would text Nico like a meme or like hit him up and like, man, don't respond. I'd be like, yo, oh no. Check social media. Nico hasn't posted. But then again, they might post. But here's the thing.
Post-block.
Nico has a very distinctive posting style. So even if they try to like make a
I'm
post
a
like
fucking
Nico,
saucy motherfucker, I guess.
I'd be like, hey, that's not Nico. Nope, that's not Nico. I already know. I'd piece that together pretty quick. But
Hello, friends. I love capitalism and also Tucker Carlson, friend. Something's up.
I would literally just ask Nico something like that only he would know. I'd be like, bro, remember that time we saw those majestic buildings on the way to Springfield? And Nico would be like, yeah. I'd be like, no, you're not
To
Nico.
where? To Springfield?
No, Springfield's a pretty common city all over this country. So we're allowing that.
Okay.
How about Springfield?
Hey, it's wherever. It's wherever. But I want to say this. So let's say we think about it and we know that it's a cult that's got Nico. How are we saving him? What would we do different from the detective? Are we telling the police?
Yeah.
Okay, I probably wouldn't just because they're going to be like, nah, it was you.
That's true.
You got
Yeah,
me.
that's fair. That's fair. I think if I was doing this on my own, I would tell the cops. But if you were involved, then
It's
I
me and
probably
you.
wouldn't. Yeah, you're right. You're right on that.
So how we save him?
I would say we would just track this shit down, be, Detective Justin Dan, and we'd figure out where the fuck Nico is, and we would just go in, bro. We would just go in, grab your machete,
Your cutlass.
My what?
your cutlass.
I only have cutlass, bro. I have no machete. But listen, what if we knew they were like a demonic cult, though? Like they were like a satanic cult. Would that change your mind at all? How would you approach it differently then?
Bro, I would just, you got silver on you, bro.
Always.
And I was just like, go to Walmart and buy a cross or some shit and just like go in there, bro.
I might have to like, you know what I'm saying? Remember we talked about this. the Pokemon of like the different religions and how you gotta like cover all your types. So I'm gonna have to rock
your bonds.
I'm gonna have to rock some holy water, carry like a Tasbih on me just in case. A couple other things as well.
Should get a fucking rosary while you're out.
Get some, some verses from select holy texts. Just be ready for all types of combat, bro. All types of combat.
Be able to recite the Epic of Gilgamesh.
Usrare, the most ancient song in the world. Shout out to Peter Pringle. That's his name, I think.
Love your chips, by the way.
Wow. Those chips are from Babylonian times. I want to talk now about the review and the critic review on Rotten Tomatoes. What do you guys think this got? High, low, maybe in the middle? Where are you at with this one for the critics?
I think I'm high.
How high, Dan?
86.
I'm also going to say high 80s from the critics, yeah.
You're both wrong.
Oh.
This movie's sitting at a fat 98% from the critics.
Wow.
And it's sitting at a slightly less score of 69 from the audience.
Nice.
So, here we go. Time to throw them dice on the table. What do you think about this movie in a brief synopsis, and what's your score? Who wants to lead?
I really enjoyed this movie. I liked the creepiness. Again, I wasn't like really scared by it necessarily, but definitely parts of it were creepy, uncomfortable, but also very whimsical and comical and funny too. And I really liked the blend of all the different sort of tones that it had. And I don't think that it was like overdone in any part. I thought they did a really good job of combining all of that together. And the visuals were great. I had a lot of fun watching this movie. I'm going to give it a 92.
Yo, I hate you. I was going to say 92. So let me break it down for the audience. Followers on social media will know that I was doing my yearly Halloween challenge where I watched 30 movies in 30 days. And I asked online for recommendations, and the good folks over at Crash Palace recommended this movie to me. This was on like day 2 or something like that of the challenge. And I watched it. I took them up on it, and it absolutely blew me away. It was my favorite new thing I've seen during the Halloween season. And I mean, new for me. And it was just fantastic. The acting blew me away. I thought this was really, really well acted. I liked and appreciated the fact that they did what they could with their budget. It clearly wasn't, like something that had like $600 million to work with, but it didn't need to. It felt real. And I think that's one thing I really like about this movie. It feels real. So yeah, 92 for me. Nico, brother, where art thou?
I fucked so heavy with this movie. It got me in ways that I haven't been got in a while. And that doesn't happen very often when you watch horror movies for a horror podcast every week. So I just was blown away by this in every single way. And this more than makes up for Phantasm. I'm giving it a 97.
Okay. Unnecessary fire, but all right. So we recommend this one to the audience, yeah?
Yeah.
Yes.
Golden Seal?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yes. All right, hang on. All right, golden seal of approval. I hope I didn't break my desk. So there you have it. This one gets the golden seal of approval from us here at Don't Open That Door. We highly recommend that you go see this one. If you like what you've heard or want to tell us how wrong we are, please hit us up on social media. We are on Instagram and Twitter at DOtD Horror. We're also on Facebook, Don't Open That Door. And also remember that you can catch all of our past stuff, all of the episodes, anything we've ever done on our website. That is DOtDhorror.com. But till then, keep one another safe. Look out for everyone. And as always, dear listener, don't open that door. Bye.